The season begins with an ordinary Sunday at St. Mary's Cathedral, where people gather expecting a simple sermon. But as Bishop Mar Mari Emmanuel steps forward, something in his expression tells the congregation this day is different. He speaks with unusual fire and compassion, delivering a message that pierces the quiet hearts in the room. Stop fighting alone. He talks about unseen battles, loneliness, shame, addiction, fear, and the heavy burdens people carry in silence because they believe no one would understand. He urges them to bring their suffering into the light, reminding them that healing and courage grow when people carry one another. His words settle deeply into the minds of many, especially Lena, a young mother quietly drowning beneath responsibilities. She works 3 exhausting jobs and still cannot keep up with rent. An eviction notice hides inside her bag, folded carefully like a secret she refuses to admit even to herself. She leaves the church shaken, replaying the bishop's voice in her mind. Strength does not mean silence. For the first time, she wonders if asking for help isn't weakness after all. Across town, Michael, once a rising boxer, sits alone in his dim apartment. His career fell apart after injuries, and alcohol became his refuge. He hasn't stepped inside a church in years, but a recording of the bishop's message goes viral, appearing on his feed late at night. He watches it through a haze, listening to Bishop say that isolation feeds darkness. Something inside him cracks. Tears he hasn't shed in years sting his eyes, and he whispers into the empty room, "I don't want to do this anymore." Meanwhile, a family in the community hides a painful truth. 19-year-old Elias has disappeared after a mental breakdown, and his parents, terrified of judgment, pretend everything is fine. They are certain nobody would understand. But word reaches the bishop, and he visits them personally. Sitting in their living room, he gently tells them, "When we hide our wounds, we lose our children." His compassion breaks their defenses, and for the first time, they admit how frightened and ashamed they have been. Seeing how many people suffer in silence, Mar Mari Emmanuel launches a new ministry called the Fellowship of Burdens. It has one rule: no pretending. People gather hesitantly at first, afraid to expose themselves. Lena attends but says nothing, clutching her handbag. Michael shows up smelling faintly of alcohol, staring at the floor. Others hover near the doorway, unsure whether to stay. But the room, fragile as it is, becomes a place where truth begins to breathe. Life grows heavier before it grows lighter. Lena loses one of her jobs, and the pressure threatens to crush her. Michael relapses one painful night and wakes up ashamed. Elias is found wandering a dangerous neighborhood, confused and broken. Each of them reaches a breaking point, and at the next meeting of the fellowship, Lena finally speaks. Her voice trembles as she says, "I need help." The room falls silent, not in judgment, but in understanding. That moment becomes a turning point. Support pours, and naturally, 2 women from the group help Lena search for stable housing. Volunteers bring groceries. Someone anonymously pays for her children's school supplies. Michael, encouraged by a young church member, joins a recovery circle and begins taking small, inconsistent, but determined steps toward sobriety. Elias receives therapy through funds raised quietly by the fellowship, and he begins learning how to navigate his mind instead of running from it. As the group becomes stronger, opposition arises. A neighboring church criticizes the fellowship, arguing that openly discussing personal struggles makes the community look weak. When this reaches the bishop, he responds calmly, "We are all broken. Honesty is not disgrace. It is deliverance." His quiet conviction silences many who doubted the purpose of the ministry. The fellowship grows into something remarkable. People who once avoided eye contact now greet each other with warm embraces. They cook meals for one another, watch each other's children, drive each other to appointments, or sit in silence when words are too heavy. Michael, sober for the first time in years, helps Elias confront his panic attacks. Lena begins assisting other struggling mothers, offering the same kindness she once resisted. The season ends with a special gathering at the cathedral. Families fill the pews, the atmosphere warm and bright. The bishop stands before them and speaks softly about what he has witnessed. Courage born through vulnerability, strength found in community, and miracles unfolding not through sudden change but through shared burdens. The greatest miracle, he says, is not when suffering ends, but when suffering is shared. Lena stands to speak, her voice clear and steady. Michael announces his first month sober. Elias smiles shyly, a sign of hope after months of darkness. Then the lights dim, and candles are passed from hand to hand through the chapel. Each flame begins with one spark, spreading from person to person until the entire cathedral glows. The season closes with that gentle sea of candlelight. Each flame a promise, each hand a reminder that no one must fight alone.